After years of waiting, Hogwarts Legacy is finally out, giving us Harry Potter fans what could be considered the game of our dreams. And on one hand, yes, it is. It's definitely the best Wizarding World game yet, and one of the best Wizard experiences I've played. So I want to make it very clear that I really like this game, and I'm having a blast playing it. I'm around 60 hours of playtime, and I even plan on doing a second playthrough with a different house. I don't want you to think that I'm just hating on it for no reason. I'm doing this video because I want the sequel to reach its full potential, even if the first game lays some very solid foundations. The castle is absolutely beautiful, the amount of detail is incredible, exploration is really fun, the music is fantastic, and the combat is truly amazing. Much better than I thought it was going to be. It's a great game. That being said, it is simply not the game I was hoping for, and I do think it has one major problem, a problem that damages the overall experience quite badly. I believe Hogwarts Legacy suffers from an identity crisis and that it should have been actually two separate games. Let me explain. Every single big, immersive, open-world game strives to sell a fantasy. I know it's becoming a meme at this point, but a game like Spider-Man wants to make you feel like Spider-Man. Ghost of Tsushima wants to make you feel like a sneaky samurai, and Red Dead Redemption 2 wants to make you feel like a cowboy. So with Hogwarts Legacy, what kind of fantasy the developers wanted to create? Judging by the actual name of the game and the trailers, the answer is obvious. They want to make you feel like a student going to Hogwarts. And in my opinion, no matter how good the game is, they unfortunately failed at recreating this particular fantasy. If you were hoping to live out a year at Hogwarts, get ready to be disappointed because this game doesn't make you feel like a student whatsoever. Initially, it does, but very quickly, the charm of attending our dream school starts wearing off. It all starts with Hogwarts itself. At first, I was having so much fun walking around this beautifully realized version of Hogwarts, looking for secrets, solving puzzles and things like that. But the more you complete whatever content there is, the more empty the castle becomes, and the more you start seeing how lifeless it actually is. Don't get me wrong, it looks amazing and the atmosphere is awesome, but when you really think about it, there are zero mechanics involving student life. Yes, you get many story beats reminiscent of the books and the movies, but no actual mechanics, which is what the castle desperately needed to come to life. There's no social system, no curfew, no companions, no house points, no romance, no pranks, no Quidditch, and worst of all, no class schedule. Most classes only happen once and are sadly relegated to a few cutscenes, extremely simplistic minigames, and that's it. Just compare it to a game like Bully, which came out in 2006. In that game, you could speak to any student in the school, be a good boy or an absolute prick. You could do pranks, there was a reputation system with the different factions, there was a curfew forcing you to sneak your way through the campus at night, and a bunch of other little details that encouraged player agency and made the experience a lot more systemic. But the best were the classes. There was an actual schedule, and if you were caught skipping class, you could even get in detention. And each class had different gameplay rewards, so for instance, if you wanted access to more weapons in your chemistry set, you had to focus on chemistry class, but if you wanted more social options, you had to attend English class. And instead of just having a single lesson per school subject, you actually had 5 classes with increasing difficulty. You see, all of these things made the school so much more immersive and actually made you feel like a student. And I really think Hogwarts Legacy could have taken a few notes regarding the student life. Because aside from a few minor interactions with the environment, you simply can't interact with the castle, sadly turning what should have been the star of the show into a simple backdrop. And there really comes a point in the story which comes much faster than I thought, where you barely go to school and spend most of your time outside the castle, not being a student. And if the game didn't force you to come back for various reasons, you would simply stop going. And the developers were very clearly aware of that issue because they did try to fix it, but the solutions are not great. The most obvious example of that is the fact that some pieces of gear need to be identified at a table in your room of requirement. I see absolutely no reason for that feature to exist, only to force players to return to their room of requirements from time to time. Same thing with the chests in the common rooms that you need to fill up with tokens to reveal a secret school robe. It's clear that the sole purpose of that chest is that you come back to it. Otherwise, it's very easy to forget that the common rooms are even a thing. Of course, Hogwarts isn't the only appeal to this game. There's this huge open world with jaw-dropping vistas, dungeons, caves, hamlets, side quests, and all sorts of combat encounters. And that part, I think, is really solid. I love flying around on my broomstick, landing in one of the villages, only to find a secret basement in one of the houses. The game handles surprises quite well and manages to remain captivating thanks to these different gameplay opportunities. But here's the problem. This is a game called Hogwarts Legacy. It should be about being a student and going to school. The highlight shouldn't be leaving the castle, and that's what I think is preventing it from achieving true greatness. The best way I can describe it is that the game has these two main poles of attraction, Hogwarts and its surroundings and the rest of the open world, and both of them are constantly fighting for your attention, like magnetic fields trying to pull you towards them. When you're in Hogwarts, the open world wants to be explored, and when you're in the open world, Hogwarts wants you to come back to it. It's like a never-ending battle between the two. You don't feel like a student because you spend most of your time outside the castle, clearing out bandit camps and exploring underground goblin tunnels, but you also don't feel like a badass explorer because you're actually a student attending Hogwarts and not a powerful dark wizard. And that weird feeling is also found in the game's clothing. You have all these crazy clothing options, but whenever I'm in Hogwarts and not wearing a school uniform like all the other students, it feels wrong. And when I'm outside, flying across the highlands doing God knows what, it feels wrong to be dressed as a student. And that sums up Hogwarts as a whole, things getting in the way of each other. And the best example of that, the thing that perfectly encapsulates this issue, is with how they tackled the unforgivable curses. Look, I know you may not like hearing this, but in my opinion, the unforgivable curses don't belong in a game where you play as a student. First, because it's just ridiculous seeing a 5th year going around and casting Avada Kedavra without consequences. And secondly, there's no way to properly implement that mechanic in a school setting. You cast the Unforgivables and then what? You get in detention? That's not enough. You get expelled? Then the game's over. For me, it just doesn't work. But the Unforgivables would work in a setting where you play as an adult wizard outside of Hogwarts. You could obliterate a village and then you could have a bounty on your head, dark wizards could maybe want to join your cause, the ministry could send people to hunt you down, and so on. But because they tried to blend the powerful wizard fantasy with the student fantasy, you get a mix of mechanics with no real complexity. Right now we can cast the Unforgivables in front of teachers like it's nothing. The developers had to basically turn off friendly fire inside the school because of the curses, and now all the other spells go through students and no one reacts no matter what you do. But if the Unforgivables had been removed, all the other spells could have been casted with consequences within the walls of Hogwarts. We could have lit someone's robe on fire, be a bully, get in detention, lose house points, you get the idea. Which brings me to my final point. I believe Hogwarts Legacy should have been 2 separate games. That way the developers could have created both experiences without compromising the other. On one hand, you would have a game focused around the Hogwarts experience, inspired by games like Bully and Persona, and on the other, you would have a big open-world wizard simulator with true morality and consequences, inspired by games like Fable or Skyrim. I really think this is what they should do moving forward with this franchise, because it's the only way we can have the best of both worlds. Nonetheless, I'm very excited to see what's next for the Wizarding world. Judging by the incredible success and reception of the first game, I think it's safe to say we're going to get sequels, spin-offs, and things like that. So let me know in the comments down below, what do you want to see from the Wizarding world, and what are your thoughts on Hogwarts Legacy? My next video is actually going to be a wish list for a sequel, so I want to hear your thoughts. That's pretty much it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later.